Testifying before the Human Rights Commission investigative hearings into the July unrest, President Cyril Ramaphosa admitted that there was an intelligence failure. The president vowed to make reforms to ensure safety and security. So to weigh in on the president's testimony, we're joined now by Professor Sethulego Matebesi, who is from the University of the Free State. Prof, thank you so much for your time this morning. Very good morning to you. But let's talk a little bit about what's your take regarding the testimony as well as some of what was shared by the President Cyril Ramaphosa during these hearings into the July unrest.
Hi, good morning, Faith, and good morning to South Africans. It's very significant what happened yesterday or over the past 2 days, where you've got a sitting president in Africa who endures some of the, what I would say, very blunt questions, and he responding. I think what the president did was once again to send a message to say that, yes, while the government and the African National Congress is on the part of Nurua, he himself will subject himself to the institutions and processes of democracy. I think that for me was very significant. But overall, once again, there were moments where I strongly believe that the president were very evasive. And I concur with some of the commentators that we are on the brink of, if not already, been a failed state in terms of what has been happening. If you look at the high levels of crime and how our security forces have been responding to crime in general.
Yeah, I mean, speaking about that, I mean, he's admitted saying that government was not well prepared to handle the unrest, so that's the admittance. And another thing was that the security forces did not have enough capabilities and plan to respond quickly to the riots. Now, Prof, you and I know when it comes to governance, right, and when it comes to even relations of or local policy, so as to say, right, or national policy, if your security forces are seen to be incapable or your intelligence forces are seen to be incapable and do not have capacity, does that not itself send out a message to your enemies, to your friends, to other countries of just the type of country that you are indeed a sitting duck, where intelligence is not seen to be of a high amount, the state in itself is compromised, the state becomes vulnerable. So how significant was that? Because it sounds like him admitting that South Africa is actually very vulnerable where its intelligence is concerned, and maybe that could even speak to the reason why we've got such a high level of crime.
Yes, I also want to point out to the viewer, some of us had the privilege of traveling extensively internationally, but I know some people who are closer to the president, the ruling party, will perhaps indicate that some of us are very naive to try and compare what is happening in other countries with South Africa. But the fact of the matter is, to the extent that how people even respect, crossing of robots and cross that, but also that has to do with how conducive the environment is in terms of enforcing the order, rules and regulations. And in South Africa, unfortunately, that is correct what you're stating. What we are, the message that we are actually sending out to the entire world is, yes, come to South Africa. And that's why I also don't want to join or actually send the wrong message here. But that's why you've got people who come to this country or very boldly, not fearing anything, and then they will engage in criminal activities, because definitely, and even South African citizens, because that simply means that the environment is conducive for crime to take place, and there's absolutely no consequences for that. And the president has actually, for me, admitted that there was absolutely no plan to deal with the July 2021 unrest. But that for me also, it's indicative of the failure of the state, because you need to plan for such eventualities.
Yeah, I mean, speaking about planning for such eventualities, Prof, one would say that perhaps we shouldn't be a state in itself where such eventualities actually take place, or such eventualities people feel as though, or certain sectors feel as though it could actually happen in the state. It certainly is, one would say, July was almost a manifestation of the true reality of our security, of our intelligence, of our capacity, of our police, of our response, and perhaps even of the politics that are involved in the governance of this country. From your understanding, from where you are sitting, the political interference that goes into even the way in which the state is governed, and of course we can have the argument, can you actually remove the politics from governance? But the way in which the politics are hampering the governance of the state, is it not compromising the state?
No, well, most definitely. But I think what is also, if I have to speak for the president, he has been moving towards, once again, reinvigorating our public institutions. I mean, if you look at a recent appointment of the police commissioner, national police commissioner, that also for me is indicative of taking or putting, taking the right decisions. And one can just commend the president for that. But fact of the matter is, whenever there is political meddling in governance issues, then you will forever see a vicious cycle of non-responsiveness from various departments, not only the police, but also it seems overall the focus of each and every government department is somewhere else, and that is how can we empty the coffers of the state. And that is a huge problem that not President Cyril Ramaphosa will be able to resolve, but civil society should also intervene in that. And I strongly believe that we do have capable public representatives across the board who will be able, who can, and that unfortunately their hands are also cut. But we are sitting on a time bomb. What happened in July may just repeat itself if the government does not take, steps towards addressing that problem.
Is it enough for him to come in and say, I take full responsibility for it? I mean, this is if you have to equate South Africa to a household, as the head of the home, if such happens under your watch, does it not say something about your headship in that home? And does it not bring into question your ability to lead that home?
Well, I've been lamenting the point that the issue of corruption will never be resolved up until South Africa actually links that up to the performance of the chief executive officer of the country, and which is the president. And the president knows, and that's why he will, he's taking South Africans into confidence by having made that statement, because he knows there will be no consequences. It's easy said than done. I mean, there should be consequences. And for me, that also is indicative of the president's performance, because once he puts his foot down on the Minister of Police, and the Minister of Police puts his foot down on all these provincial commissioners, then at least perhaps we will start seeing the results of that. But I know it's not as easy as that. But somebody needs to take a responsibility, and unfortunately, politicians are very keen and to always shift the blame and take responsibility where they know there won't be any tangible consequences that will come to them directly.
Yeah, Prof, I wish you could speak all day about this, but thank you very much for your time this morning, Professor Sethulego Matebesi there, just giving us insights from the Human Rights Commission, as we saw that the President of the state, Cyril Ramaphosa, was present, just to give an account from his take on what transpired in July 2021. But